Good day to you all out in YouTube world and in every other part of the planet. I am Tartan Rose, this is my Plaid pad, and this is my Saturday session, Sick and Tired of Being Sick and Tired. Today I'm talking about a mildly tetchy subject called hate speech. Now, to break it down by definition, according to dictionary.com, hate is a noun, means to dislike intensely or passionately, feel extreme aversion for or extreme hostility towards, or to detest. To be unwilling or to dislike. As a verb, it is intense dislike, extreme aversion or hostility, the object of extreme aversion or hostility. I will talk about that word aversion later. Speech, a noun. The faculty or power of speaking, oral communication. The ability to express one's thoughts and emotions by speech, sound, and gesture. The act of speaking. Something that is spoken, an utterance, remark, or declaration. A form of communication in spoken language made by a speaker before an audience for a given purpose. That would be like me now. Any single utterance by an actor in the course of a play, a motion picture, etc. The form of utterance characteristic or particular to people or religion, a dialect, a language or dialect. You put them together and you have hate speech. Now, by definition, from dictionary.com, this is a noun. Speech, writing, or nonverbal communication that attacks, threatens, or insults a person or group on the basis of national origin, ethnicity, color, religion, gender identity, sexual orientation, or disability. When you take all that and you melt it down to make it easier for people, the translation, something that someone says that you don't like because it contradicts what you say, think, or feel, and is based on facts that you cannot contradict, with more facts, mostly used by feminists or SJWs. Yes, I said it. Now, let's take the word aversion. Aversion is something to be avoided. I avoid it because I hate it. But these things, this hate speech, they don't avoid it. They want to stop it completely. You can't do what you do. You can't say anything because I have an aversion to it. Okay. So just avoid listening. That can't be done. They can't do that. They might run into you again. They might hear you do something. That's why cancel culture came about. Because they can't simply avoid something. Let's go with the form of utterance characteristic of a particular people. When you get into a crowd of people and they are all talking and arguing, there's going to be some people saying things you don't like. And then you're going to say things they don't like. But because it hurts your feelings, you're going to shut them down because you have the power, not them. What you have is a lack of facts. And too many people have tried to shut down what they refer to as hate speech because it offends them or it hurts their feelings. So instead of having the ability to counter the argument, they try to shut you down or shut down your ability to say what you have every right to say. It doesn't matter that the things they say offend you. You don't matter because you're always wrong. They're always right. But they can't tell you why you're wrong. You just are. You're just wrong. Besides that, you're not part of their clique. And besides, if you said anything they didn't like, they'd kick you out of your clique anyway, their clique anyway. Because they can't prove that you're wrong, they call your argument hate speech and demand that you shut up or be censored if you're online or any type of social media. They don't want to hear what you have to say because you're making sense in a way they cannot. They don't have facts to back up their arguments. They don't have the knowledge that they should have when they go into these arguments. All they know is someone told them what someone else believes. It's not. I would like to think they have their own minds and can read and understand, or read a person and understand what's going on. But they don't. They can't. They have their own worldview, and that is all. It is simply their view. They will not be swayed because this person said it. They can't be wrong. They said it. And they said this person said it. And they don't think. And that causes me grief. Because they are not thinking for themselves. This is the generation that was spoon-fed everything on the internet, by TV. And it saddens me. So, despite the definition given at the opening of the video, the term hate speech can only be used by SJWs and feminists because reasons. And that's pretty much what they call it. They don't have the capacity for reasoning. They cannot talk calmly, quietly. They yell, they holler, they get in your face and try to shut you down. People don't listen. They won't listen because they're too busy yelling. If people stopped yelling and started talking, people would be willing to listen. But they can't. It's not won't, it's can't. Because they have to continually yell over everyone else in order to get themselves heard. In order that they are the only ones speaking. Because if you start speaking, you might say something that will upset them or will counter their argument or completely negate their argument. And they cannot deal. So they call it hate speech. And they tell you, you can't say it. The UK put laws into effect about saying things that can be considered hate speech online because it offends this group or it offends that group. And it doesn't matter that that group or this group are saying things that offend you. That doesn't matter. they're not saying hate speech because they can't say hate speech. I find that contradiction to be migraine-inducing because it's not an argument. It's a statement made by people who don't understand, don't comprehend. The SJWs especially. These are young people who are of college age, many of whom are or were in college. And they believe whatever it is someone in authority tells them. Whether that person is right or not is inconsequential, completely inconsequential. They accept it as gospel. And so therefore you cannot argue with it. It's sad. I don't understand why people cannot research, why these people, not all, why these people can't think for themselves, research things for themselves, check on arguments that people have made. Relate things to them. Listen to what's being said and think for themselves that maybe there is another side. I'm remembering back to a story I read. I can't remember who the author was, but the story was called The Silver Tunnel. It was a story of two men who could not come to agreement about a certain law each one was trying to pass. Theirs was right, the other was wrong. And they go through all this. The one who gave in on their argument was going to die. So they're going through this. They get to the last station, or I should say, what became their last station. And they are standing before a creature, and each one, slowly and calmly, gives forth their version of what this law should be. The being stands there, contemplates for a few moments, and then says, "You are both wrong." And they look at each other going, "That can't be." And she says, "If you work them together, piece them together so it works for all, then it becomes right." The men stopped and thought, and both proceeded to be burned alive in lava, which meant they realized they were wrong and they died. Now, it's not actually going to happen that people are going to die if they realize they're wrong, but it's possible that someone could just, what's the word I'm looking for? Someone's mind could stop processing because they find out they are wrong and they do not have an argument. When they come back at you with something like, "Well, you're wrong," and you ask them why, and they can't tell you why, reasons. I've seen some people try and have arguments on videos. They try and have arguments and they try to prove themselves. And this one guy is giving this girl all these statistics, all these arguments why she's wrong, and her argument was just to stand there and scream. I was like, well, that made a whole lot of sense now, didn't it? They try to shut people down on the internet, and they're trying to control the internet, being a worldwide entity unto itself. People should not have to censor them. People should not have to censor what they say simply because someone said something they don't like. They should listen and think. Yes, something may happen to them, but they should listen and think. Try and relate to what they are saying. Don't think that you have that. When I say you, I mean them, the other side. What they need to do is stop and think. Use given the mind that they cultivated all these years. You don't know something, you don't understand it, look it up. You've got Google right there in your hot little hand, because everybody's walking around with a phone. It's like it's becoming a new appendage. You got it right there. Research it. Google, Bing, or whatever you use. Check things out. See if somebody's right. If they're not right, prove them wrong. But they can't. They won't. They're right, and that's all they know. It is, like I said, sad. It makes no sense. None of it. I am trying to comprehend all of this. I'm trying to comprehend how social media platforms can take things off. These are supposed to be free speech platforms. You could say what you wanted to. You simply have to, the social media owners, have to stop telling you what to say. They can't censor your mind. They cannot be allowed to tell you what to think or to tell you this is what you can say. They have to be made aware that people have other thoughts, and they cannot, their thought processes cannot be the ones that determine what can and can't be put up there. Twitter has no right to ban anyone. Or if they do ban someone, they're banning the wrong person. They allow things that talk about killing all men, killing all male children that are born. Really? Seriously? They talk about censoring anybody who disagrees with them. That's about as wrong as it gets. Facebook is doing it too. Facebook is trying to influence your political decision by sneakily taking down certain ads or posts by certain people for certain other people. This is wrong and ridiculous on every level because it's censorship. You're going to allow some people to say some people to say whatever it is they choose to say, but you're not going to allow everybody to say what they choose to say. This is disgusting. Very, very disgusting. Because this is not, I'd like to say it's unconstitutional, but the Constitution, well, they had no idea what was coming up with the internet and all that kind of thing. But it's their logic. The opposing force will forever do as they choose, as they want, because they can. And you can't do this because we don't want you to. That isn't the craziest thing that I've ever heard. And I listen to these people and the things they're saying, and now the things they're doing. And they feel justified in doing these things. Going out and beating people to death. Attacking people in their own homes. Stealing, taking whatever it is they want. Burning cities. Marching all over the place, screaming whatever they want, thinking they can walk up on you and just do what they want. And they think it's okay. No, it's not. I hearken you little Antifites to the brown shirts of Nazi Germany. That's what you are. Now, if BLM wants to quietly march through the streets and protest, that's fine. If you want to start throwing things, burning cars, destroying businesses, that's not a protest, that's a riot, and I don't agree with it. It needs to stop. You cannot just walk out and do what you choose to do. That one man who shot his young boys, that 5-year-old neighbor in the head, for little more than just accidentally riding across his lawn with his bike. Shot him in the head while his family watched. If you think I wasn't enraged by that, I was rabid. I could not believe that happened. Just calmly, like he was going to pick up the newspaper, walked out and shot him. Why? Did he think that kid riding over his lawn was disrespectful? So you talk to the kid. No. Nope. He disrespected him, so he had to go out there and disrespect his family by killing the child. Those 2 children, his sisters, who saw him get shot, they're going to be traumatized for the rest of their life. They are going to be afraid of Black people for the rest of their life. Why? Because this gentleman had to do what he felt had to be done. It didn't have to be done. It did not have to be done. And I find this censorship of the media, they're only talking about certain things that happen. Certain types of crime that happen. Not all crime. Just certain types of crime. Or what they consider crime. It is disheartening what is happening here. At this point in time, for as long as all of this has been going on, I don't know that this country can ever return to being a peaceful society. I do hope, and I pray to my personal deities that it will happen sometime before I leave this planet, but I can't say it will. I can't say it never will. I'm just saying there's a pretty good chance it's not going to happen in my lifetime. It's going to be very difficult to know when this can happen. But should there be a full-on war, a full-on hot war, as they call it, I and a whole lot of other people will be very sad to see this happen, because it should not be happening. I am disparaged that this is the way the world is going. I am tired of it. I am tired. Why is it all of a sudden? All these things that have been going on for decades. These statues that have been up for hundreds of years. Some of them. Why do they all have to come down? Why does history have to be forgotten? Guess what? History can't be forgotten. It's been written down. It's on the internet. And unless you intend to completely wipe the internet, everything from the beginning of time to 2 seconds ago is on there. People are reading. People are seeing. Some people are not believing. And what's going on is scaring me. I don't want to see war happen. Nobody really wants to see war happen. It's disgraceful. It's disrespectful to every human being on the planet that it ever had to happen. In my opinion, a lot of wars could have been settled just between two leaders, sitting down at a table and hashing it out themselves, instead of making a few thousand or million other people die for it. And I'm talking about every conflict from the beginning of time. I would rather have seen these been dealt with by the two people involved, rather than everybody else who gets dragged into it. Most of them being dragged into it. I don't want to see any kind of new civil war begin here in this country. There will be too many deaths. I don't want to see that. And I know there's going to be people out there saying, well, if you don't want to see it, don't look. Yeah, well, there are things you don't want to look at, but you're selling to cancel them. Yeah, well, how about I cancel what you like? I cancel the things I hate, the things I don't want to see, the things that need to be gotten rid of because I don't like them. Is that fair? Even if it's things you like? Guess what? No, it's not. But there you are screaming cancel, bringing your cancel culture God, there's two words that gripe me. These things have to stop. We have to all just stop and listen to reason. If it's going to take everybody in the world to have to pass out for 24 hours, wake up and have reason. The ability to reason and to understand all sides of an argument. Oh, that would be a wonderful thing, but it'll never happen. People don't just wake up and say, oh, maybe I was wrong. No, that's never going to happen. And I'm sad for it. Magic doesn't work on this plane of existence. So, screaming doesn't either. Yelling at someone, hollering at them, calling what they say hate speech, just because you don't like it, just because it disagrees with you. Hey, there are certain foods that disagree with people. Doesn't mean they stop eating it. They just understand it better. They take precautions against what's going to hurt them. In your case, you listen to them. You hear them out. Then you move on. But apparently, not going to happen. And I'm sad. I don't want to see this country. I don't like seeing this country go downhill this fast. I've seen an entire political party spend the last 3.5 years throwing the world's biggest temper tantrum because they didn't get their way. It's despicable. These are supposed to be grown adults knowing what to do for this country, for the people who put them in office. Oh, so many years ago. I say if you've been in office more than 15 years, it's time to book it on out. Take your little bitty severance package and leave. But nope. People keep voting them in. And they don't care. As long as people keep voting them in, they have no reason to care about anybody. Just their own little opinions, their own little views, and screaming about what the government is doing. About what the president is doing. It's like, why don't you people think about everybody else but yourself? Think about the people who put you in office, the people known as your constituents. I've seen videos from some of these areas. I see the houses that you all have. Billion-dollar mansions. And your constituents are living in squalor. Too many people are moving out of certain areas. And they're becoming deserted. They're becoming ghost towns. It's appalling. It truly is appalling. I see things. I'm the quiet type. I look, I watch, I observe. I speak when I find it necessary, at times like this, on certain subjects. I don't scream in the streets, although I'm getting pretty close to that. It's becoming, I don't even have the word for it. I don't even have the word for it. Disheartening, disparaging, disgusting, heartbreaking. It's just, like I said, there's no word for it. But people who tell you you can't because they don't want you to. People who tell you you can't say this, you can't think that. I'm also starting to see more signs of 1984 coming into action. Not only is Big Brother watching, but he's trying to control. The one thing before I end this is all these people who don't want to get the shot for the current virus. They say they don't want to chip in them. Electronic appendage you're carrying around everywhere you go. And tell me again about being chipped. Because guess what? They click in a code, flip a switch, they know exactly where you are, where you have been, who you spoke to, who you texted, everything. And because you have to share every single thing you do, there you go. They know it all. So don't talk to anybody about being chipped, children. Well, I'm going to end this here because I'm getting close to making myself cry about this. And all I can say right now is things need to change. And I say we, the silent majority, need to start calling out these rants about hate speech, which is what I started on. Tell social media sites that this is offensive to you and they must ban it. Somebody says you're talking hate speech, fine. You turn around and tell social media they are talking hate speech because it offends you. Make it equal. They want equal. If what I say offends you, what you say offends me, so I don't want you to say it either. I know it sounds petty, childish, stamping your feet, but that's the only way the opposing side will listen, is if you fire back at them with the exact same ammo that they're shooting at you. Verbally, that is. Well, this has been a little short, and I apologize. But there's not a whole lot more I can say. Other than, I'll be me, you be you. It's just easier that way. And don't tell me I have to be. And I won't tell you you have to be. So I wish you all well. I wish you peace, love, and light. And I'm out.